In today's fast moving world, trust is the foundation that makes or breaks relationships. Women, in particular, carry deep instincts, and modern psychology has only added more layers to how they decide whom to trust. It's not just about looks, money, or charm, it's about emotional safety and consistency. A woman's heart opens when she feels secure, not just entertained. She notices the small patterns: your tone, your actions, your reliability. One mistake might be forgiven, but repeated inconsistency raises red flags instantly. Modern psychology shows that women balance intuition with logic, using both their emotions and experiences to judge a man's trustworthiness. And make no mistake, trust is not demanded, it's earned slowly and lost quickly. If you've ever wondered why some men get deep loyalty while others are kept at arm's length, the answer lies in these subtle psychological filters. Today, we'll break down exactly how women decide who to trust and why understanding this can transform your relationships. 1. Consistency over time builds trust. When it comes to trust, women aren't only listening to what you say, they're watching if your actions align with your words and if you repeat that alignment over time. Modern relationship psychology emphasizes that trust is not built in grand gestures, but in small, steady patterns of behavior. Think about it. Anyone can impress for a week. Anyone can act charming during the honeymoon phase of dating. But consistency is what separates the men who are taken seriously from the ones who are forgotten. A woman will notice if you keep your promises, even the small ones. Did you text when you said you would? Did you show up on time? Did you remember the little details she mentioned casually? These might look trivial on the surface, but in her mind, they're evidence of reliability. Why? Because psychology shows that consistency reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty is the breeding ground of mistrust. A woman doesn't want to feel like she's gambling with her emotions. She wants stability, something she can lean on without fearing that the ground will crumble beneath her feet. When you behave consistently, you send her subconscious mind a clear signal: I am safe. You can depend on me. It's not about being perfect, it's about being predictable in the right ways. Now, here's the catch: inconsistency is louder than consistency. Miss one promise, and it may outweigh 10 times you kept your word. Why? Because the brain is wired to detect threats. If you slip, she instantly wonders, was that an accident, or is this the real you showing up? Once doubt creeps in, rebuilding trust becomes twice as hard. That's why relationship experts stress that men who maintain emotional and behavioral consistency are far more likely to earn long-term trust. And here's the deeper layer. Consistency also reflects your self-discipline and integrity. If you can be consistent with her, it means you can control yourself, your words, and your impulses. That's extremely attractive because it signals maturity. Women equate consistency with emotional security. It tells her you're not only stable today, but you'll likely be stable tomorrow, a year from now, even in tough times. That's the kind of energy that earns trust. And once she feels it, loyalty follows naturally. So remember this: trust isn't won in dramatic moments. It's in the repeated small actions that quietly whisper, I mean what I say and I do what I promise. Consistency doesn't just build trust, it cements it. 2. Emotional safety matters more than words. If consistency is the foundation of trust, then emotional safety is the roof under which a woman feels secure enough to stay. Modern relationship psychology reveals that women don't only trust a man because of his promises, they trust him when he creates an environment where they can express themselves without fear of being judged, mocked, or dismissed. This is the kind of safety that allows vulnerability to grow, and vulnerability is where real intimacy begins. Think about it. A woman may smile at your jokes, enjoy your charm, and even admire your confidence. But the moment she feels unsafe emotionally, like her feelings don't matter, her voice isn't heard, or her emotions are being used against her, her trust meter instantly drops. Why? Because humans are wired for self-protection. And for women, emotional rejection often feels as painful as physical harm. If she opens up about her fears or her past and you mock her, minimize it, or use it later in an argument, she won't just lose trust in that moment. She'll begin to question your entire character. Creating emotional safety doesn't mean you have to agree with everything she says. It doesn't mean becoming passive or fake. It means listening attentively, respecting her emotions as valid, and responding with empathy rather than ego. Something as simple as saying, I hear you and I understand why you feel that way can be more powerful than a dozen I love yous. Because love without safety is empty. It feels good for a while, but it won't last. And here's where most men go wrong. They confuse solving with supporting. Women don't always want solutions to their problems. Sometimes they just want to know that when they're upset, the man beside them isn't going to dismiss them, but instead provide calmness and understanding. Emotional safety is about creating a space where she doesn't have to pretend, where she can cry, laugh, vent, or even be silent without fearing that you'll withdraw affection or respect. When a woman feels safe, she naturally deepens her trust. Her guard drops. She invests more emotionally because she knows her vulnerability won't be weaponized. That's why psychologists call emotional safety the invisible contract in relationships. It's not written, but it governs everything. You can be successful, attractive, or intelligent, but if she feels unsafe emotionally, trust collapses. So remember, trust isn't just about what you bring to the table, but about how you make her feel when she's sitting at it. If she feels safe, she'll trust you more deeply than words could ever achieve. 3. Transparency creates security. If consistency builds the foundation and emotional safety strengthens the walls, then transparency is the window through which trust breathes. Women decide who to trust, not just by what you do, but by how open and clear you are about your intentions, your life, and even your flaws. Modern psychology tells us that secrecy is often interpreted as danger. It signals there's something to hide, and the mind instantly starts filling in the blanks with worst case scenarios. That's why transparency is so powerful. It removes uncertainty before it has the chance to grow into suspicion. A woman doesn't need to know every detail of your life, but she does need clarity where it matters. Are you honest about your values? Do your actions match your words in public and in private? Are you straightforward about what you want from the relationship? When you're transparent, you eliminate the space for doubt. Doubt is like poison to trust. It starts small, but if left unchecked, it can consume everything. Transparency also signals respect. By being open, you show that you trust her enough to let her see who you really are. It's not about oversharing or dumping every thought in your head. It's about being authentic and consistent in your communication. If you're busy, say you're busy. If you're unsure about something, admit it. These little acts of honesty carry more weight than grand speeches because they prove you don't need to hide behind excuses. And here's the deeper truth. Women don't expect perfection, but they do expect honesty. If you make a mistake, being transparent about it can actually strengthen trust instead of destroying it. Why? Because owning your flaws shows maturity and self awareness. It tells her you're strong enough to face reality rather than cover it up. Hiding mistakes erodes trust far faster than the mistake itself. Now, understand this. Transparency is not about control. It's about clarity. Some men think keeping secrets makes them more mysterious, but mystery without transparency feels manipulative. Mystery should spark curiosity, not anxiety. A woman can admire the fact that she doesn't fully know everything about you yet, but she should never feel like you're intentionally keeping her in the dark. When a woman sees transparency, she relaxes. She doesn't have to play detective. She doesn't have to second guess your words or check for hidden meanings. Transparency allows her to feel secure, and security is the soil where trust grows deep roots. So never underestimate the power of openness. Transparency doesn't weaken you, it makes you trustworthy. And in modern relationships, trust is the real currency. 4. Respect is the silent language of trust. At the heart of every strong relationship lies one word: respect. Without it, trust cannot survive. A woman may admire your confidence, appreciate your ambition, or even enjoy your presence, but if she doesn't feel respected, she will never fully trust you. Modern relationship psychology emphasizes that respect is not just about politeness. It's about how consistently you value her as a person, not just as a partner. Respect shows up in subtle ways: how you listen when she speaks, how you handle disagreements, how you talk about her when she's not around. If you dismiss her opinions, interrupt her constantly, or belittle her feelings, you silently chip away at the trust she has in you. Women pay close attention to these details because respect tells them whether you see them as equals or as accessories. And no matter how much attraction exists, without respect, trust collapses. The power of respect lies in its ability to make someone feel seen. When a woman feels heard and valued, she lets down her guard. She doesn't have to fight for acknowledgement or constantly prove her worth because your behavior already affirms it. That sense of acknowledgement becomes a safety net. She knows she won't be ignored, dismissed, or ridiculed, even in difficult moments. And here's the deeper layer. Respect is tested most in conflict. Anyone can be respectful when things are smooth. But the real test of character comes when emotions run high. Do you attack her personally, or do you focus on the issue? Do you call her names in anger, or do you control your words even when frustrated? These moments define whether she can trust you long term. If she sees that you maintain respect even in disagreements, she knows she can depend on you not just in good times, but in storms too. Respect also extends beyond her. It shows in how you treat others. Women often watch how men treat waiters, strangers, or even their own families. If you only show respect selectively, it signals inconsistency, and inconsistency makes trust fragile. But when respect is part of your character, it radiates everywhere, and that creates confidence that she won't someday be treated with contempt. Ultimately, respect is not about grand gestures. It's in the small habits, the patience to listen, the humility to admit when you're wrong, the decency to value her choices. Trust grows in that soil. Without respect, trust withers. With respect, it thrives. 5. Reliability in difficult times. Proves true character. It's easy to be trusted when life is comfortable. Anyone can play the role of a supportive partner when the sun is shining, money is flowing, and there are no storms on the horizon. But modern psychology shows that real trust is tested in moments of pressure, uncertainty, and hardship. For women, one of the clearest ways they decide who to trust is by observing how a man behaves when things go wrong. Does he crumble, blame others, or withdraw into silence? Or does he stay grounded, reliable, and calm, even when the world is falling apart? Reliability in difficult times is more than a nice quality. It's proof of true character. Women instinctively look for this because it signals long-term security. Life is unpredictable. Jobs change, family issues arise, health problems appear. When challenges hit, a woman wants to know if the man beside her will stand strong or if he'll vanish at the first sign of discomfort. If she sees consistency in your calmness, problem solving, and emotional presence, her trust in you deepens. Think about this. When something stressful happens, like a sudden financial challenge or an emotional crisis, how do you react? If your reaction is anger, avoidance, or panic, it tells her that in the long run, she cannot lean on you. But if your reaction is controlled, thoughtful, and solution-oriented, she feels protected. It's not about being a superhero or fixing every problem instantly. It's about showing that you won't abandon her emotionally or mentally when life isn't perfect. There's a psychological reason behind this. The human brain equates safety with predictability. In tough moments, reliability becomes the ultimate proof of predictability. A woman thinks, if I can count on him in chaos, I can count on him always. This is why men who remain steady in difficult times often inspire deeper loyalty and trust than men who are flashy but unreliable. And here's the truth. Trust built during hardship is the strongest kind of trust. When you show up consistently, even in small ways during hard times, checking in, offering solutions, or simply being present, you send the message that you are unshakable. That message creates an emotional bond that is hard to break. So remember this. Reliability isn't tested when it's easy. It's tested when it's hard. And if you can prove to a woman that you are dependable in the storm, she will trust you in the sunshine without hesitation. 6. Integrity is the core of lasting trust. If there's one quality that silently defines whether a woman decides to trust a man long term, it's integrity. Integrity isn't about perfection. It's about alignment between who you claim to be and how you actually behave. In modern relationship psychology, integrity is considered the bedrock of trust because it reflects your true character when no one is watching. Women instinctively pay attention to whether your values are consistent, not just in how you treat her, but in how you live your life as a whole. Here's the thing. A woman may be impressed by your achievements, your charm, or even your intelligence. But if she senses a gap between your words and your actions, she feels uneasy. For example, if you talk about honesty but she catches you lying to a friend, or if you preach loyalty but flirt with others behind her back, trust begins to collapse immediately. Why? Because inconsistency in values signals danger. If you can't stay true to your principles in small things, how can she rely on you in bigger matters? Integrity also shows in how you handle temptation. Do you cut corners when you think no one will notice? Do you treat people differently depending on what you can get from them? Do you break promises just because they're inconvenient? These subtle behaviors send strong signals about your reliability. A woman doesn't need you to be flawless, but she does need to know that your principles aren't negotiable every time life tests you. And here's the deeper layer. Integrity builds trust not just because of what it says about you, but because of what it makes her feel. When she sees you stand by your word, even when it costs you something, she feels safe. When she notices you treat everyone with fairness, even when no one's watching, she feels confident. Integrity creates a psychological anchor. It tells her you are not only trustworthy now, but will likely remain trustworthy tomorrow. But the opposite is just as true. Once integrity is broken, trust doesn't just weaken, it shatters. A single betrayal, a single uncovered lie can destroy months or even years of consistency. And rebuilding it is one of the hardest challenges because women know that if you've broken integrity once, you might do it again. So if you want to be trusted deeply, remember this: skills, charm, and appearance may open doors, but integrity keeps them open. Without it, nothing else holds weight. With it, trust becomes unshakable. Comes 7. Vulnerability strengthens the bond of trust. Many men think that to earn a woman's trust, they must always appear strong, unshakable, and invincible. While confidence and stability matter, modern relationship psychology reveals a surprising truth. Vulnerability is one of the most powerful ways to deepen trust. Why? Because when you're willing to open up about your fears, struggles, and emotions, you show her that you're not hiding behind a mask. You're giving her access to your authentic self. And that kind of openness is what convinces her that the connection is real. Vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing every insecurity or becoming overly dependent. It means being honest enough to say, I don't have all the answers, or this situation scared me, or I care about this deeply. When you allow her to see that side of you, it makes her feel trusted as well. Trust, after all, is not a one-way street. A woman cannot fully trust you if she feels like you're a locked box. But when you're willing to open up, you send her a silent message. I trust you enough to let you see my real self. That act encourages her to do the same, creating mutual trust. The psychology behind this is simple. Authentic vulnerability builds intimacy. Studies show that people bond more deeply when they share personal truths and experiences rather than surface-level details. For women, a man's willingness to be vulnerable without losing his grounding makes him more trustworthy because it proves he has nothing to hide. It tells her that you're not pretending to be someone you're not and that she can believe what she sees. But here's the nuance. Vulnerability only works when balanced with strength. If you use vulnerability to seek pity, she loses respect. But if you combine it with accountability, sharing your struggles while also showing how you're working on them, it becomes a powerful trust builder. For example, saying, I made mistakes in the past, but I've learned from them, shows growth and honesty. That's the kind of vulnerability that doesn't weaken you. It humanizes you. When a woman feels that you're strong enough to be real, she trusts you more deeply than she ever could with a man who hides behind arrogance or silence. Vulnerability creates emotional closeness, and emotional closeness creates loyalty. So remember, strength builds attraction, but vulnerability cements trust. Show her that behind the confidence, there's a real, honest man, and that's the man she'll choose to trust with her heart. Trust is the real currency of modern love. When you strip away the distractions of modern dating, the apps, the social media highlights, the surface level attraction, you're left with one core truth. Trust decides everything. It decides whether a relationship survives storms or falls apart at the first crack. It decides whether a woman opens her heart fully or keeps her guard up forever. And as we've explored, trust isn't built on one dramatic gesture or a single grand moment. It's built on a series of choices, behaviors, and values that show up every day. Consistency lays the foundation because without it, everything feels unstable. Emotional safety builds the walls, giving her the space to be vulnerable without fear. Transparency clears away suspicion, showing her she doesn't have to play detective to understand you. Respect becomes the silent language that assures her she is valued, not dismissed. Reliability in difficult times proves that your strength is more than a front. It's something she can depend on when life tests both of you. Integrity anchors it all because without it, trust shatters instantly. And finally, vulnerability transforms trust into intimacy because when you're real with her, she knows the bond isn't an illusion. Notice the pattern? None of these qualities require perfection. They don't require wealth, status, or flawless charm. They require character. And that's the essence of trust. It's not something you demand, it's something you earn through who you are and how you live. Women are not only guided by attraction, they are guided by intuition, by psychology, by a deep sense of whether they can place their emotions in safe hands. The truth is, anyone can spark desire. But desire without trust is temporary. It burns fast and fades faster. Trust, however, is what turns attraction into commitment, and commitment into love that endures. In a world where people fear betrayal, dishonesty, and inconsistency, being a man who offers trustworthiness is like being a lighthouse in the storm. You stand out because stability is rare. So ask yourself, do my actions reflect the man I claim to be? Do I provide consistency, safety, honesty, respect, reliability, integrity, and vulnerability? Because if you do, you won't have to chase trust. It will be given to you freely. And once a woman decides she can trust you, you'll find that loyalty, love, and connection flow naturally. At the end of the day, looks fade, circumstances change, but trust, when built with character, becomes unshakable. And in modern relationships, that's the real power.